Lowler, who's the older brother of Hayden. Before I begin, I want to take just a quick moment to have a little pop quiz. How many of you have an older brother or younger brother who's here today? Just raise your hands. Okay, quite a few of you. For those of you who don't know, I also have a younger brother. His name's Jacob, but he's 15. So he's your age. He's in high school right now. My relationship with him really isn't one that of a brother, but more of an uncle. Josh's older brother, Matt, when he gave his senior speech, described me as that crazy uncle who takes us on strange, interesting trips with some life lesson in mind at the end. That's basically how my brother and I are. Jacob, however, has a time to live up to. At this point, he's being taught by either people who taught me in high school or people who I graduated high school with. His last year's math teacher was an ex-girlfriend of mine. And this year's English teacher is someone who I had the exact same schedule for 4 years in high school with. I spoke with them about Jacob over the summer and asked them, how's he doing? Is he doing all right? Is he keeping up with his studies? And they all replied with the same thing. Well, he's no Brian. Then it hit me. This is Josh. Josh is having to live up and had to struggle with this for many years here at Christ School. He had an older brother, Matt, who graduated class of '09. And Josh has worked hard to get out from underneath his shadows to form his own path. So I've thought about this for a long time. And Josh and I have worked on it. How do you form your own legacy? How do you become your own person? Well, there's really two ways that Josh has done this. First is time passes. Raise your hands right now if you know Matt. Not very many, especially not other students, mostly all faculty. If I had asked this question a year ago, that would have been double. If I had asked it 2 years ago, it would have been 100%. So just as time passes, you get some separation and some distance. The second way to do it is to form your own legacy. And this is what Josh has done very well. Most of you guys know Josh from his announcement at Set Assembly. He comes up and he's trying to reform the chess club and the medical club. Some of you know him from working on the varsity tennis team, or taking pictures with the yearbook, which he's been doing for the last 2 years, and now is going to be the chief editor of the yearbook this year. Josh wants to work in medicine and attend Duke University. To do that, he works hard and takes the hardest classes he can, currently in 5 AP courses, and doing well in all of them. Josh tends to spend his time focused on the future rather than the here and now, which is the topic he's about to speak on. Josh is incredibly fun and has some skills with the ladies. At least he tells me he does. I haven't verified this yet. I'll leave it to you guys to ask him about his summer campus phone number experience. I won't go into any details on that yet. In my advisee group, Josh is the center of attention, giving advice to other advisees or telling funny stories from his summer experiences. Also, Josh is a very accomplished juggler. If you want to do a YouTube search and you can see him juggling balls and bowling pins and flaming things. And here soon, his swords just arrived this morning. So look forward to seeing that this weekend. In conclusion, Josh isn't his brother, nor his parents, nor anyone else. He's working hard just to be himself. And that's excellent. And that's what we all should try to do. It's not appropriate to expect us to be someone else just because they're related to us, as it's difficult enough just to be yourself. So Josh, I'm proud to say you're not Matt, and that's a wonderful thing. I give you Joshua Aaron Horowitz.
Today's my 17th birthday, and if I were a wizard, then I would be entering adulthood today. At the end of these first 16 years of my life, I realized that in our culture, there's a very large amount of pressure on people to make plans for the future and deciding on college, we should occasionally just take some time to enjoy where we are. Personally, I tend to look only towards the future and focus only on my goals rather than my journey to the goals. Not many of you know this, but in my 10th grade year, I applied to the School of Science and Math. I became so engrossed in the idea of attending the school for my junior and senior years that I forgot to take into account the wonderful community around me and how much everyone here has done for me. It really took a letter of rejection from the admissions department at the School of Science and Math to force me to stop and realize that I was already in a great place. And today I'm glad that I didn't get in, because that would have meant leaving everything and everyone that I have here. It's important that we remember not to let life pass us by while we toil about plans for the future, because otherwise we'll forget that although we ought to work hard for success in life, as I have for most of my life, the present is just as much a part of our life as the future will be, and we shouldn't wait to live it to the fullest. Before I go sit down, I just want to take a minute to thank a few people and draw attention to a couple of things about the Christ School community. First and foremost, my parents. Thanks for coming today, and I want to say you guys have really done a lot for me. And I don't think I would be anywhere close to where I am today with anybody else filling your roles. Some of you know that I have a brother, Matt, as Mr. Martin said, and he couldn't be here today because he's studying at Columbia University in New York City. He's had an enormous impact on my life, and if there's anyone I think of as a role model, it's him. I've always felt a lot of pressure to do well because of his success, but now that I think Mr. Martin's right, and I'm not living in his shadow anymore. So, Matt, if you ever see this video, then I just want you to know that I'm thinking of you and I love you. However many of you knew about Matt already, probably even fewer of you knew about my oldest brother, Dan, who came here today all the way from Bryson City. Dan and I have a unique relationship. Like Mr. Martin's relationship with Jacob, I really see Dan as more of a friend than an uncle, but I love him nevertheless. I don't really hear from him much, except when he calls me at 1 in the morning to tell me a funny story about work or about driving on the highway. One that comes to mind is the time he was driving behind a police officer at night and decided the officer was going too slow, so he thought it might be smart to start flashing his brights on and off. So he got pulled over, and the officer asked him if he had any idea how annoying that is. Luckily, he escaped the ticket, and then as the officer drove away, he called me to tell me all about it. Mr. Martin, I don't care what you say, I am good with the ladies. I think you've had one of the biggest impacts on me during my time here, and I'm glad that since 8th grade, I've really taken full advantage of the advisor-classee relationship. I'm sure you would agree that I've never made your job easy, and you're lucky that the rest of your advisees aren't as bad as me. You have your work cut out for you. Mr. Martin, I'm glad that I have you as advisor, even if you pick on me more than any of your other advisees. And I'm glad that you chose not to give me an oral derivative quiz during your introduction. I would love to stand up here and talk and thank every teacher at the school who's made an impact on my life or been a friend to me, but I would literally be up here for hours and still have more to say. All I can say is that I can't think of a single teacher at the school whose room I haven't gone to during a free period just to talk because I enjoy their company. New students and underclassmen, never forget that every one of the teachers at the school wants to see you succeed and would do just about anything to help you. Teaching you and helping you be a better person, it's not their job, it's their life. The teachers here really are unique, and they really do care about you. I'm savoring my last year here because I know that wherever I go in life, never again will I be surrounded by such an encouraging community as I have right here. Thank you.